Hello, you are welcome to the first lesson of wooden floor. My name is Habineza Michel.
And I am Habimana Gabriel Devot. We are both trainers at Rwenya Tivet School.
We will have 5 videos about planning, preparation, and fixing the wooden floor.
Let's now start with preliminary works and selection of timber.
Enjoy the lesson.
Hello everyone, my name is Seti Munyehirwe, the carpentry trainer at Rwenya Tivet School. We are going to have the lesson 1 in wooden floor. This lesson will be about preliminary works and selection of the pieces. The objectives of this lesson is that later you will be able to take measurements on the side. You will also be able to design the wooden floor. So the last objective is that you will be able to select the timbers for the wooden floor. Before we start, I would like to encourage you to follow well and take notes where it is necessary so that in the end everything will be clear. Before we do any step in the production of the wooden floor, let's start taking the measurements that you have on the side. The measurements that we are interested in are the length and the width of the room. But besides this, it might happen that, for example, you have the opening, so we also need to know the position of that opening so that later we know how long we can cut the pieces that we will use. There we need the tools. That's why I have somewhere to take the notes so that it will not be easy to forget what I'm going to measure. So it will be just here. Besides this, I also need the pencil to record the dimensions and other information that I need. And I need the folding ruler and the tape measure so that I can use them just to measure. During wooden floor construction, we also need to consider the floor patterns. The floor patterns actually, it's like how the planks or boards are arranged. This is observed when the floor is finished because you only can see it from the outside. So we have different floor patterns, but I have chosen some of them and then we can go through and then check how they are. The first one that we are having, it is straight pattern. The straight pattern, as you see, it is when you have the boards or the planks laid in straight position. So they are just running in the same direction and they are just straight. The fishbone pattern, it is another kind of throw pattern that we are having. As you see on the drawing, or let's say on the sketch, the pieces or the pranks will be laid in this way to form like the bone of the fish. The next pattern that you are having, it is a herringbone. The herringbone, it's like a fish bone somehow. The only difference which is there is that the pieces or the pranks that we use, they are straight cut. While on the fish bone, the pieces are cut on the angle. So this is where it is. This is where the difference is. Otherwise, the arrangement of the pranks or the boards, it's the same. The last pattern that we have, it is hexagonal pattern. With the hexagonal pattern, it's just the pieces which are laid to form the hexagon. So this one, it's not very common comparing to the free patterns that we have seen, but it is also the pattern which can be used, especially when you want to make the appearance of the floor nice. Before producing the wooden floor, we need to make the drawing. Mainly this drawing will help us to see how is the arrangement of the pranks, or let's say the boards that you put above the joist. So that's why we have the drawing with us, and from the front view you can see how the pranks will be connected together, but down we also have the section. So if that section, it's mainly to make sure that the pranks will be fitting. So you can see we have the tongue and the groove, and if you observe clearly, you can see that there is a gap between the joints, between the tongue and between the tongue and the groove. That gap, if you see, it's inside and it's from the bottom. Normally when we are producing the joint, we will have to make sure that we have a gap of, let's say, 2 millimeters, but not on the top, inside and in the bottom, so that we can assure that when we put the pieces together, they will be fitting perfect, especially from the top, as it is where we need. Now, as we have the design of the wooden floor that we are going to produce, we are going to select timbers. So we decided timbers, but you need to be aware that there are other different materials that you can work with when you are producing a wooden floor. You can use also the engineered wood products such as laminated boards or particle board or multi-ply wood. We will select the timbers, but we need to measure the moisture content. That's why I have the hydrometer. I also came with the folding ruler because I needed to take the sizes of the piece so that the selection is easier. And then I can really take the piece which fit with the wooden floor that I'm going to build or to produce. The other requirements that we have to check carefully, it's like knots, so we should avoid the piece with the strong knots because they will weaken the wooden floor to be produced. Besides this, we also need to make sure that the piece that we take, it is free from the splitting. And another thing that you have to check carefully is that the pieces that we take or we select should not absorb or should not lose water easily. Because if they have this character, let's say, later our wooden floor will not look nice because the connection of the pieces will be poor.
Hope you enjoyed the lesson.
Once again, we have learned a lot from this.
As usual, you can find this video on the e-learning website of Rwanda Polytechnic for more repetition.
We welcome you again for the next session.
Until then, stay safe and
Goodbye.